In these notes, you're going to learn how to do multi-step equations, and multi-step means anything more than 2 steps, right? 3, 4, 5, etc. And the reason we can't put an actual number on them is because of the way they look and the variety of problems that exist. So just like in previous notes, I've given you the steps to solve them. This I'm going to do the same way. Right? And it is very important to learn these steps because once you know these steps to solve these types of problems, no matter how hard they look and how ugly they look, the process is not going to change. It's going to be exactly the same, right? So that's what I'm going to impress upon you the most. All right, so the very first thing you must always do, if it is there, is distribute first. So here's where that distributive property comes in and why it was so important for me to get you to do well with that part so you can do these equations. After distributing, or if no distributing exists, the second thing you will do is to combine like terms. Okay. And then if that doesn't exist, or if you've already done that, then the third step you're going to do is you're going to move the smaller variable term, because most times you're going to have variables on both sides. And then the last things you're going to do is going to be to solve the rest of the equation. Sometimes you're going to be left with a 2-step equation, and sometimes it'll be a 1-step. So instead of specifying which one it is, because it's different every time, then I'm just going to say you solve it from where you know best. It's either 1 or 2-step at the end. All right, so there's nothing that changes in terms of those steps. It has to be done in this order. That's what makes these a little bit more successful for most students, is because it does have a routine effect. All right, so the rest of what we're going to do is just like before, where I show you examples and I teach you by example so you can see and hear exactly what I'm doing and in what order. All right, and we will do 6 of these together. All right, so the first one is going to look like this. We're going to have 40 plus 8x equals 4 parentheses 7 minus x. Remember, as soon as you see parentheses in the problem, that means you have to distribute somewhere, somehow. All right, and that's your first step, is to distribute first. All right, so if you see the wall, right, you notice that on the right-hand side is where you've got to distribute. Right? 4 times 7 is going to give you 28. 4 times negative x is negative 4x. And this is where knowing how to distribute comes in very handy. Right? Because if you mess that part up, there's no hope in getting the right answer from there. And then bring down the whole left side. There's nothing we're going to do to the left side. Now, step 2 says combine like terms, but you can only combine like terms if they're on the same side of the wall together. You'll notice that none of this is on the same side, that they're on different sides. So we don't have a step 2 to do. The next thing we're going to go to is moving the smaller variable term, because we do have x's on both sides. You have a positive 8x and you have a negative 4x. Well, again, negatives are smaller than positives, so we need to move the minus 4x. Because it's minus 4x, we are going to add 4x to both sides. Okay, and continue from here. So you have 40, 8 plus 4 is going to be plus 12x equals 28. And now you're at a normal 2-step equation. So we're going to move the 40 first. The 40 is positive, so we need to subtract it over. And you have 12x equals 28. I'm sorry, 12x equals negative 12. Okay. And then we're going to split up the 12 and the x, and it's going to be by dividing by 12. And when you take and do negative 12 divided by positive 12, your final answer is going to be x equals negative 1. Right? So after going through the steps in the correct order, we did come out with an actual answer. Okay. All right, second one. And again, I'm showing you a bunch of different varieties and complexity so you can get a good feel for what we're doing and what you need to be paying attention to. 5y equals 2y minus 42 minus 3y. Right? And you'll notice when you put the wall in that the right side is very lopsided compared to the left. All right, so we've got some work to do. Distributing doesn't need to happen because there's no parentheses. All right, combining like terms. If you look on the right-hand side, there are some like terms that we can put together. We can put 2y minus 3y together. And 2 minus 3 is going to make negative 1y and bring down minus 42. On the other side, you're still going to have 5y. Okay, so now I've got that. I've got variables on both sides. I've got a positive 5 and a negative 1. Negative 1 is smaller, so to get rid of minus y, I'm going to add 1y to the other side. Okay, and then 5y plus 1y is going to be 6y. equals negative 42. Don't forget that negative sign. And then to split up the 6 and the y, we're going to divide by 6. You'll notice that in most of your last steps, you're dividing. Okay, not always, but most. All right, so then we get y equals negative 7 for our final answer. Okay. All right, next one. If we have 3 parentheses 4x minus 9, close your parentheses, equals 5 parentheses 2x minus 5, close your parentheses. You'll notice that there are 2 sets of parentheses, which means you've got to distribute 2 different times, one on the left and one on the right. All right, so let's just start on the left and go forward. 3 times 4x is 12x. 3 times negative 9 is negative 27. Go to the other side, you're going to distribute the 5. 5 times 2x is 10x. 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. All right, so I've done the distributing. Then I need to look and see, is there anything I can combine like terms with on the same side together? The answer to that is no. All right, then I look for variables on both sides. I have a 12x and a 10x, so yes, I've got to move one of them. 10 is smaller than 12, and it's a positive 10x, so I'm going to subtract the 10x over to the other side. Make sure you're lining up your like terms underneath each other so that it works this way. 12x minus 10x is now going to leave you with 2x. Bring down minus 27 equals negative 25. Again, don't forget that negative sign. Okay. You're at a 2-step problem. We need to get rid of minus 27 now. So we're going to add 27 to the other side. We have 2x on the left equals negative 25 plus 27 is a positive 2. You want to divide by 2. And nice and easy, x equals 1. Okay. So you can see the routine that we're going through here. It'll always look this way and always function this way. All right. Number 4. You're going to have 4 times p minus 5 in parentheses plus 4p equals 2 parentheses 3p plus 4. Right. Again, if you draw your wall, you can see on the left side and right side that we've got some work to do. We see parentheses, so automatically jump in with distributing. 4 times p is 4p. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. Bring down the other plus 4p. We'll deal with him in a minute. Go to the other side and get your distributing out of the way. 2 times 3p is 6p. 2 times positive 4 is positive 8. Right? So now, combining like terms, the right side doesn't have any I can deal with, but the left side, I can put some of these p's together and not have them spread out so much. So if I take 4p and add 4p to it, I'm going to have 8p minus 20 equals 6p plus 8. A lot shorter and a lot easier to look at. All right, I see p's on both sides, so I need to figure out who's smaller. I got an 8 and a 6, so obviously 6 is going to be the smaller one. It's a positive 6, so I want to subtract it over. So subtract 6p from both sides. 8 minus 6 is going to give you 2p. Bring down minus 20 equals 8. Okay, and now I'm at a normal 2-step, so I'm going to get rid of minus 20 by adding 20 to the other side. I've got 2p equals 28. I want to split up the 2 and the p, so I have to divide by 2. And this gives me p equals 14. So you can see that the routine is there and that's what makes it so much easier to do. All right, let's look at number 5. We have 2 more to do. For number 5, don't panic over the length of it and how it looks. Just copy it down and then listen as I walk you through it. All right, there's our wall. All right, you can tell that the left side has some really major business going on that we need to take care of. All right, yes, it looks intense. Yes, it looks hard, but in one move, we can clean this up and make it look so much easier. There's no distributing because there's no parentheses. Combining like terms on the left-hand side, you got a lot that you can combine together. I can put 1x plus 1x plus 6x plus 6x together. All right, so 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 6 is 8. 8 plus 6 now makes 14x. Okay, a lot cleaner than those 4 terms were. Then I've got minus 3 and minus 3 that can go together. Well, negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6 equals 50. You just shortened this long equation into a 2-step equation in 1 step. Right? So now it doesn't look so bad. We got to get rid of minus 6, so we're going to add 6 to the other side. 14x equals 56. Okay, and then I've got one more step to do where we need to get rid of that 14. We're going to divide by 14. Okay, and that gives me x equals 4. So even though the problems look bad to start with, you can't judge a problem by the way it looks. You have to get going with it. Some of the easiest problems that look like they're going to be easy are going to come out harder answers in the end than this problem who looked hard from the beginning. So don't judge a problem by the way it looks. Right? And then the last problem, go ahead and put a star by it because it's one of the special ones in terms of it doesn't quite follow everything it needs to. Right? But we've been seeing enough of these that hopefully you've caught on to what you need to do with it. 3x minus 2 divided by negative 4 equals negative 10. Okay, this is a multi-step problem because it takes 3 or more operations to get to the answer. It does not have distributing, it does not have combining like terms, and it does not have variables on both sides. So here's where you've got to go back to your knowledge of two-step and figure out, well, how do I even attempt this? Right? Remember that if your x is trapped over a number, you have to get rid of the number on the bottom first. And because all of this is being divided by negative 4, the only way to get rid of that negative 4 is to multiply both sides by negative 4. That crosses off the bottom. Okay, the top is trapped, and until you get rid of the bottom, you can't move anything. So now you have 3x minus 2 equals, and negative 10 times negative 4 is positive 40. Now you can do your two-step work, and this is where the rest of it kicks in. So that first step was multiplying, and that was the third step that you have in your problem. And then this next one, we're going to add 2 to the other side, and you're going to get 3x equals 42, and you're going to divide by 3, and the final answer is going to be 14. Okay, so be careful with those. Those are the ones that tend to catch people the most. So that star there is important. All right, you might want to put the words "be careful" right next to it so that you recognize that when something looks like that, you need to slow down and think about what you're doing before you just jump in and start doing it.